Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com. According to the German publication Bild, there's been no sun and hardly any wind in Germany for a week. They say this is typical winter weather and they're asking, where will our electricity come from? And at the bottom of the page, they show the root of the problem. They say, Germany is currently the second largest climate polluter in Europe. Germany is in trouble because their government has adopted the superstition that fossil fuels cause bad weather. So let's take a look at where this superstition came from. Greta Thunberg's ancestor Arrhenius started the superstition back in the 19th century. He said that the burning of fossil fuels was going to make much of the earth uninhabitable and that people were going to have to move to places like Canada and Siberia. He said that the burning of fossil fuels was going to cause the earth to boil, and he began the Extinction Rebellion 120 years ago. 5 years ago, Stephen Hawking repeated this claim. He said that the burning of fossil fuels was going to make Earth hot like Venus. In 1901, Nobel laureate Knut Angstrom demonstrated that Arrhenius was wrong about his theory. Angstrom demonstrated experimentally that variations in the amount of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere had very little effect on the radiative balance. Angstrom pointed out that Arrhenius failed to recognize that water vapor was the most important greenhouse gas. The global warming scam was shown to be incorrect over 120 years ago, yet it still persists today. In 1913, Arrhenius said we were all going to have to move to northern latitudes to escape the heat. But in 1923, he said everybody was going to have to move to lower latitudes for a different reason. Arrhenius predicted that the world was going to run out of oil by the year 1983 and was going to run out of coal by the year 2023. So according to Greta's ancestor, we're going to run out of fossil fuels in about 4 weeks. Greta says that capitalism is an extreme system built on exploitation of people and the planet, and you can buy her book discussing this for only $34 on Amazon. Apparently, Greta believes that communist countries like China take good care of the environment. But this video is about Greta's ancestor, Arrhenius. Arrhenius said the world would run out of fossil fuels by the year 2023, and as a result, all of our energy would come from wind and solar. He said that all power would come from rainless tropical regions, and the rest of the world would be stripped of industries. Arrhenius said the conversion to wind and solar was going to produce profound changes in our civilization, and the regions marked in black on this map showed where the sun motors of the coming civilization will be concentrated. Arrhenius expressed a disturbing outlook for our great-grandchildren. He said, "What is the real basis of our existing high civilization? Upon reflection, we find that the perfecting of the steam engine by Watt and others has revolutionized industry," which amounts to the statement that the use of coal and oil is the basis of our exalted material station, which is itself necessary to our intellectual progress. If coal or fossil combustibles in general, in which the solar energy of past ages has been partly stored, were to run out, then the larger part of our industrial machines would stop and our means of communication would be reduced greatly. Unlike his descendant Greta, Arrhenius recognized that an adequate supply of energy is essential to civilization. In 1913, Arrhenius said that everybody was going to have to move to northern latitudes to escape global warming, and in 1923 he said that we were going to have to move closer to the equator in order to get energy from the sun. In 1911, the head chemist at the U.S. Department of Agriculture told a slightly different variation of the same story. Like Arrhenius, he predicted that coal would quickly disappear from the earth. Coal already is dwindling alarmingly, and the most ambitious efforts of the foresters will not forestall the final obliteration of the forests. Electricity is manifestly the sole dependence of the future. In the Northwest several years ago, the cold was so intense and the fuel famine so prolonged that the farmers there kept themselves alive by burning their boundary fences and their outhouses. By means of a simple windmill, power could be produced which would keep the homes of the far northwest, meaning the upper Midwest, at a uniform temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, even in the deadliest cold weather. Which brings us back to the original article that pointed out that you can't get electricity from wind and solar when the sun's not shining and the wind is not blowing. Germany is dependent on coal, gas, oil, and nuclear power because wind and solar are not reliable. Arrhenius said we were going to have to move to Siberia and Canada to escape global warming. And he also said we were going to have to move closer to the equator because we were going to run out of coal and oil, and we would become dependent on solar power. In 1945, the Guardian newspaper said that Arrhenius was one of the heroes of enlightenment because he fought single-handed against the closed ranks of an overbearing orthodoxy. And now, 80 years later, the Guardian is one of the key players in that overbearing orthodoxy. Now the Guardian refuses to print the opinions of anyone who disagrees with the climate orthodoxy. In 1989, the Guardian said that global governance was the only way we were going to be able to stop global warming. They agree with Greta that communism is going to be necessary to save the planet from carbon dioxide. And to be fair, North Korea is taking action to stop climate change. They're taking actions to reduce CO2 emissions like having children push school buses. But China's not doing so well. They're massively increasing their CO2 emissions. And for some reason, we haven't seen Greta protesting climate change in China. Toto's been barking about this insanity for the past 14 years. You can visit him, Kyrie Caesar, Toki Upala, Zen, Ruby, Sakura, and Lightning at realclimatescience.com.